Hello, hello. Is there anyone out there? Hello? What's up, people? Hello. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? What's up? Hello, hello. So many people. Nice to see you all. Get a little wave. How y'all doing this evening? Good evening to you too. I'm good. Thank you, Ankit. I'm good. I'm okay. Thank you, Emis. Hello, hello. Just got done doing some croquis. That was fun. Alright. Happy to see so many people. You all excited for today? You guys got Blender up and running? Ready? We gotta make up for last time. We had a big power outage. Also call in your friends, call in your family. There's a family friendly stream. All levels welcome. Alright. Okay, so quick introductions for those that have never been here before. My name is Onua and I'm a student here at CADA. I'm currently in my 4th semester and I'll be instructor today. Let me turn down the music a little bit maybe. It's probably a bit too loud. Alright. So, what we're doing today we're gonna be doing a 1.5 hour live stream that we call the 3D Bootcamp. And this one is gonna be about texturing. So each week we cycle the theme and this week it is texturing. So I'll do my best to introduce everybody from the very basics, beginner level, to how to texture and paint models inside Blender. And I think this is a very fun one. And you guys are gonna start out. So usually the way we do it is we make a model on the previous stream and then we bring it into this stream and then we start painting it. But due to last week us having a power outage and all that, I'm just gonna use the model I made last time. So there's a link in the description, both for the Google Drive and then a different like WeTransfer link. So get that while I'm just talking about stuff, just get that downloaded and try to open up the scene and all that. First time live, alright, nice to see you, Marcus, hello. Yeah, so the modeling was cancelled last week, which means that next week will be Unreal Engine and then or / level design. Week after that will be sculpting and then modeling. I'm sorry everybody, we just had to kind of skip over modeling to stay on schedule. Really sorry about that. We do have the previous streams on the YouTube channel, and if you have any questions about those streams or what we do on them, feel free to just ask in the Discord. I'm always active there, so I do see the questions. It was CJ sir, and maybe Emily. It was probably Emily. Evening. First time here, looking forward to it. Alright, great. Okay, let's get into it. So, okay, this is about what you see when you open up the scene. So get that up and running. And I'll copy this reference into the Discord server. So if you're not already on the Discord server, you all should join it, because that's super nice and super helpful. So this is where we post all the stuff that we do, all the feedback, all the back and forth is in the Discord server. So I'll get a little link for that one. And how's the volume of the music? Is it too loud? Am I clear? Can you guys hear me? Hold up. There we go. So there's a link to the Discord. Music's fine. Alright, that's great. So right here in the 3D Bootcamp, I will post the concept So we did this one last time, and I hope, so the people that were here for the last texturing stream, let's try to get it even further than we did last time. And if you're completely new, which I think a lot of you are, well, it'll just be as great as last time, because I think it's a really cute concept. I'm kind of excited to work on it again, see if I can push it even further than last time. So, people, if you got this Blender scene up and running, and you see sort of what I see on screen right now, raise your hand in the chat. Mine is open, I see it. So I'll raise my hand. I'm ready. If you're ready, raise your hand. Let's see how many people got it. Alright, great. Alright, great. Fantastic. Okay, another one. If you're completely new to Blender, so let's say you don't really know how the UI and all that works, hit me with a yes, I'm completely new, little blue thing. I don't know. Let's see that. And don't worry, I'll take you through all the basics. It's just to get a little idea for myself. And you know, as usual, all the questions are more than welcome, because if you have a question, there's probably a bunch of other people in the chat that has the same question. So do ask away, that's why we do it live. And I really appreciate the questions, because you're just making the stream higher quality for everybody involved. Okay. So, for those that know Blender, you can turn on the lights up here, and you can keep, you can work away and all that. For those that are completely new, I'll go over the very basics to start out with. So, if you ever mess up your scene, before we touch anything, if you mess up your scene, don't worry, you can just close it and don't save, and then just open the scene again. Yes, the scene is in the description. Are we gonna use a texture paint add-on like UCoPaint? No, we're not gonna use UCoPaint, even though that's a really cool add-on. This is gonna be very basics, like how does Blender work kind of thing. How do we actually start putting color on our model? So while UCoPaint is super cool, it is not today, sadly. Okay, so first of all, what you see in the middle is the viewport. So this is where everything happens in our scene. It's kind of like our window into our little sandbox where we create whatever it is that we need to create or want to create. So the way to look around this little viewport is by holding down middle mouse. Okay, that's how you rotate the camera. And I have this icon down here where you can see all the keys that I press as I'm pressing them. So you can see if you can't hear what I'm saying or kind of miss it. So rotate with the middle mouse. If you add a shift to that, you can actually move your camera, you can pan it around. So you can click those two in combination to move around the scene. And then you can scroll in and out on the mouse wheel to zoom. Or you can hold control and middle mouse. And with those very basic keys, you can move around the scene. That's pretty much all we're going to be using for navigation. So just get a little bit comfortable with that. So you can see how fast I'm clicking stuff. I'm just zooming around the scene, right? So get used to that. Let me just turn down music a tad. Okay. Alright, so now we know how to move around the scene. And I'm kind of going over this a little bit more than I usually would, because we skipped the modeling bootcamp. So out here on the right is what we call the outliner. And you can see this is basically a list of all the stuff that's in our scene. So we have the lights and cameras here. They're currently hidden. We can unhide them by clicking this little eye icon. And we also have all the models in our scene. We can hide and unhide those, and we can open them up. And we can select stuff on this little list by left clicking it or by left clicking it in the viewport. Yeah. The scene is not organized, I'm sorry. But it'll be fine. We'll work around it. It's a good learning experience. We're gonna be grouping stuff as we go along. So, oh my god, I haven't grouped these yet. Yeah, So this was from the modeling stream that we did like a couple weeks ago, like 5 weeks ago. And we're just doing very basic cubes, cylinders, circles to kind of create a whole scene. That was a great stream. But if you ever need to find circle number 848, you can search in here. So you can find circle, yeah, whatever, circle 006, you know, if you need to. Or if you named stuff properly, it would be way easier to find stuff. Okay, moving along. Underneath that, we have sort of more intricate functions of Blender, and this is dependent on whatever you have selected. So let's say I unhide my lights and cameras. If I select a light, I can adjust the light settings down here. So I'm kind of in the way a little bit. If I move it up, you can see it. So there's like light settings, there's camera settings and all that. And we might get into that a little bit later in the stream. That's pretty much what you need to know for the texturing bootcamp for now, right? That's very basics. You have your tools out here that I usually go over on the modeling stream, like moving, rotating, scaling and all that. Okay, all of that is out here. Sir, are you in the CADA Discord? Yes, I am in the CADA Discord. My name is Onua, so spelled like this. Boop. That's my name on the CADA Discord. Okay, everybody, is what I've been saying so far making sense? Hand up in the chat if you're following along so far. I hope I didn't lose anyone already. So hand up in the chat for everybody that's completely new. Did I go over something too quick, or is it kind of appropriate? Yes, alright, great. Okay, so and also I want to say that if something does go too quickly, please let me know, like that's totally okay. We can go over stuff multiple times, whatever it is that you all need. You know, that's why I'm here and not just making a YouTube video, right? So I can kind of guide you all through it. Okay, fantastic. Alright. So let's get into the texturing and painting talk. Not completely new, but still following along. Yeah. My Discord username. I think if you just search for my real name on the Discord, you should be able to find my account. It's Cheeseburger. Okay. So texturing in 3D, what is going on, right? So to texture anything in 3D. Oh, let me change the soundtrack real quick. So in Blender we have this kind of matte cap that we see right now, which is just totally gray, and all it's used for is seeing the shape of stuff. And what we want to do now on this stream is we want to teach you all how to color things, right? And usually the way it would go is you get taught how to model something and then how to paint it. But now we're going the other way. So this is what we have modeled, and it's just completely gray, but now we want to color it, okay? And the way color works in 3D, at least in this case, is kind of like how it would in real life. So to see the color of something, you need to put a light on it, okay? So we need to turn on our lights and cameras for now to illustrate this. Up in the top right, you can click the eye icon. And then there's 3 balls up here. If you click the rightmost ball called viewport shading, you'll actually see your scene get lit up. Okay. And it looks really nice, and as you can see, everything is just like a pure white except these flowers up here. That's pretty much the default. Whenever you model something, it's just gonna default to a white. There's gonna be no color on it. Now if your PC is a little slow, or you don't want to wait for this grainy thing to render all the time, you can go to your render settings up here, render properties, and the render engine, you can switch it to Eevee. Okay, it's just gonna speed up everything a little bit. It's not gonna look as crisp, but it's gonna look good enough for us to work with it, okay? So I think that's something everybody should just do real quick. Switch up here to Eevee, And then whenever you want to make a real nice render, you can switch it back to cycles. So as you're working, you can move these lights that I set up. You can move them around as you please. Obviously light and color, they go hand in hand. This is just what I set up on the screen. If you click 0 on your numpad, you can go into the camera view. This one is not really set up, but now you know that. Okay. So to color a surface in 3D, I'm trying to be quick about all the boring dry stuff. I mean, I promise it's interesting, but you gotta sit with it for a second. So you gotta assign a material to a model in 3D because the light is interacting with it. So it needs to know, well, what kind of material are we dealing with? Like obviously if you color a piece of glass or a piece of metal, you're gonna have a way different kind of look on the surface, right? Even stuff like my hat and my pen, they all have different kind of materials, okay? So let's start off with something like, what should we start off with? Let's start off with something like, maybe the bowl here, okay? That's a great example. So you can click the bowl, and then in this menu here, you can go to the material tab, and right here you can add a new material, okay? So stick with me at this one. So you click an object, you go to the material tab, you add a new material. Alright, and from here on out, you can play with stuff and make it look real nice very fast. So right here in the base color, you can kind of pick whatever color it's supposed to be. So we see it's like a fairly deep black. My booth is black, no lights. So it might be because out on the right side, there's the light and cameras collection here. And you can click the little eye icon to hide and unhide the lights, okay? I just hit them because it might have been, sometimes it's a little bit confusing with all the lines going everywhere, okay? So it's probably because you have the lights hidden. Alright, so when we added this material, so we can call it porcelain, and this might be lacquerware or something if we're going by like real different terms or something. Or it could just be a porcelain bowl. So porcelain bowls are a bit shiny, and that's also something we define here in the material stage. So the rougher a surface is, like my hat, it's quite rough. You know, it's not sandpaper, but it's still rough compared to my headphones, for example. They're very glossy. So the lower the roughness is, the more glossy something will be. And the higher the roughness is, the less glossy it will be. It will turn into a more matte kind of finish, okay? So we might need something in between, but a little bit more on the glossy side. Okay, so we have that, and we called it, or we can call it black porcelain to make sure. And then we can add that to the other bowl by clicking it, and now you see the materials changed because we selected a different object that does not have that material. And we can select it right here in the drop down menu on the material tab. We can select black porcelain, okay? That's sort of the very basics of putting color and stuff in your scene. And you might be able to imagine, well, at this point, we can select the outside here and add a sort of reddish warm wood. So wood. And we can change that color to like a little bit warm here. Something like that. And then like a middle value for the roughness is probably fine. Maybe it's a little bit more on the rough side. So is that making sense to people? How you just assign the basic material? And you can kind of go around in your scene. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I left the image. But I wasn't using any hotkeys. I'm sorry about that. But it should be okay because I wasn't really clicking anything super crazy or special. Just select stuff and I assign something. So let's say these chopsticks here. Yep, no worries. So we could go in individually And let's say we want to have a black wood, so maybe the chopsticks are made of wood, they're not as shiny. So like a black, and then a little bit more rough. We could go in here individually and add the black wood. But, you know, when it comes to, let's say, these little cubes of meat or whatever it is, it might take a while to select all of them. So instead, an easy way to work around this is clicking an object, shift clicking another object, a fourth object and a fifth object. So just shift clicking everything and then clicking Control J. And now they're all combined. And so they will all share the same material. Okay, so now when we select these became one object. And this is something that we would have usually gone over in the modeling stream. Whenever you move something around, by the way, just real quick, if you want to go back, you can just click Control Z and Control Shift Z to go forward again. So Control Z, go back, Control Shift Z, go forward. And we'll get into all the painting and stuff. But I just need everybody to get on board with this sort of concept first. Okay, so let me get another show of hands. How many people are following along so far? Have you been able to apply a material to stuff in the scene? I did. I'm raising my hand. I did. I applied a material. Let me see how many people are following. Great, 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 great. Okay, that's great. Alright, so let's go ahead, everybody. Did not understand how to group. That is fine. Okay. So, okay, I'll just use these planks down here as an example. So let's say we wanted to group all these planks in this crate, right? You can left click one thing and then just shift left click another thing. That's how you select multiple things and you can move them around. Now if you click Control J, so Control and then J to join, you will join them all together. And now they're one object. You can kind of see the outline changes. And we can add a material here and we can call it crate. Or we can call it light red wood. Okay, because it's a little bit warm in the tone. Okay, and now even after we made the material, we could go in and add it to all the other ones, or we can just shift select all of them. And then Control J, and now they're all one object. Oh, we forgot the bottom, I think. Oops, Control J, there we go. And now we have a combined crate. Isn't that cool? I think that's kind of cool. Command J. It's J like in like this kind of letter. Not G, but J. So you can see in the bottom left too what I'm clicking. So J. Alright, okay, I hope everybody is following. So we can go, and now is the time where I kind of, you know how I'm helping you all walk and I'm like holding your hand so far? Now I'm just gonna, you know, let go of one hand and you all can walk a little bit on your own. So now is the time where you just go ahead in this scene and like just start applying all the colors that you see, and then we'll move on to the painting after that. For you it doesn't apply multiple. So it could be that if you have stuff combined and it's like moving it around here together, you might have multiple materials here, and that is something you can do. So let's say I had another material. Oops. Did not mean to hide that. So you might actually have, let's say this one has a different material on it. So all you need to do is basically just remove this one and then only have the light red wood on it. To remember, yes, I will also be using one. It is not necessary at all because the painting we'll be doing is basic, very basic. You know, it's not a how to paint kind of bootcamp. It's more like introduction to how do you actually get started with painting. And so if you have some painting background behind you and you have a pen, tablet and all that, it'll be a great help for you. But I won't be doing like super detailed painting or anything like that today. I mean, I'll do my best to make it cute. Okay, people, so just go ahead, go around the scene. If you end up in a situation like this where I have a bunch of cubes, I'll show you all how to deal with that. So this is a very lazy thing by me that I did. But if you go in, you can like go here and select the bottom cube. So I'm just selecting the cube here in the hierarchy and I can see which one it's highlighting. And then I can hold shift and go all the way up in the hierarchy. Okay, so I can find the last cube, which is this one, so 31 until 50, and then click Ctrl J. And now they're all together. Okay. And it's also kind of like a fun way to get I don't know if it's that fun, but it's a way to get familiar with how selecting stuff works in Blender, which you might have missed from the last modeling bootcamp, right? So you can go here, you can select by shift selecting up in your hierarchy and then clicking Ctrl J to combine all those to make it a little bit more manageable. Okay, so I'll go ahead and put a roof on here, so black roof. And we could go in and add some metallicness to this roof if we want to, if we feel like it's supposed to be a little bit metallic. We can add something to this border, so again we can shift select the whole thing and combine it if we feel like it. So maybe we make a light wood or like a cream wood. Okay, we can add the cream wood to this chair as well. So it's not everything that you want to combine, like maybe this chair, it's nice to keep those separate because you can move them around later, you know. So you can just add the material to both of them. I think any drawing tablet should be fine. Oh yeah, any should be fine. Like I'm actually sitting with a hue on right now, so that's not a problem. So we can add the black porcelain to these guys maybe. Like a cream wood here, cream wood there, maybe cream wood on this pole as well. Okay, we can have a pot. Oh, it is nice to get those color variations in there. I see that my cream wood now is not saturated enough. So if you go into any of them and you go to the cream wood, you can actually just adjust it and it will adjust for all of them together. Okay. And this thing here in the middle, it should not have the cream wood. It should have like a, I don't know, stone floor kind of thing. Okay. Yes, exactly, Fazara. So we're just adding the base colors and then about now, or maybe in a little moment, I'll start painting on stuff. So this is just to get people familiar with sort of, you know, how to actually get any color on your stuff. Okay. So are people sorta at this stage where they put a bunch of colors everywhere and now they sorta want to paint a little bit? How are we all doing? A little checkup. There you go. Like Fjord said, if you want to be a little smart, you can definitely do that. So let's say we wanted these things to have like a meat material. Meat. Let's try it out. So all the stuff you select the last one that has the meat material. Control L. And let's see. Link materials. There you go. So there's many smart ways of doing stuff in Blender, but today I'll just be doing like the very basic version for everybody. Just to make sure that everybody sort of gets introduced without people falling off, you know? Okay. I struggle with getting the color all the time on the objects. So are you struggling with getting it all over the object or getting like the right color? And you know guys, you don't have to put color in everything. That's not what I'm... So right now we're just like, as we paint, you know, you can always keep adding color. You know, there's a lot of stuff that I haven't colored yet. I just want people to, you know, be able to put color and stuff, and it's like they understand it now. You know, you can put stuff on it without, you know, on your own. You know, at the end of the day, I can say, you know, click this button, click that button, click this button. But the real goal is to sort of teach you all something that you can do a little bit on your own and bring it home with you or use it after the stream, right? You select and then it doesn't apply. So if you click anything, so let's see if we can add like a red material here. Okay, so we go red lantern. So it could be that you have a material on it already. So if I were to add, let's say, a gold rim here, gold rim, it's not gonna apply. So I need to delete the red lantern and then the gold rim will apply. Could it be something like that? That's your issue. There might be other materials already. Okay, one more. Hand up in the chat if you're confident and ready to go and paint something. So how do we actually make it all look nice? Let me see those hands and I'll move on. I just need everybody. I need to make sure that everybody is on board today, just because we skipped last time, which is very unfortunate. So it's a bit hard to judge where, like, how into Blender everybody is at this point, right? So, okay, fair enough. Okay. So, how do we paint in 3D? Alright, so we need to do some theory. Sit down, get your snacks out, get ready to have some theory. I don't quite have a blackboard with me, but I'll do my best. Okay, and this is something that's a little bit important to understand, just as a very basic thing. You know, you don't have to get it 100%. But I'll put this image up on screen. It's the one I use every time to explain it. I love this image. Okay, so something that we need to understand in 3D is that not whenever, but most of the time when we paint something, we're actually painting on an image file that sits on our PC, okay? So everything here we do is digital, right? So it's kind of like when you open up Photoshop and you save it as an image, right? So whenever we paint stuff, we gotta paint it on an image to save it. Okay, that's the way we store image information or painting information. It is always on an image. And usually when we're talking about 3D stuff, we do it in a square. Okay, so if we start painting on a square image, well, Blender needs to know that, well, if we painted the face right here in the middle, it needs to put this paint that we did in the middle on the actual face of our model in 3D space. Okay, and so if we paint the hands here, we need to tell Blender where is this on our 3D model. Well, it's supposed to be right here. And that's the very basics of UV unwrapping, it's called. Yeah, so it's like when you open up a paper cube, right? So it's kind of like, you gotta, yeah. So there's like cuts in it and you gotta unfold it into something that fits in a square image. So you can almost imagine it the other way around. So if this is your 3D model, you can unfold it into a square that we can paint onto. Okay, and maybe once we get started with this, it'll start to make a little bit more sense, but just have this like in the back of your mind. So basically, we need to tell Blender, okay, what does our 3D model look like on a 2D image? Okay, that's what's called UV unwrapping. Okay, so if we start out with this fish here, for example, there's a whole tab dedicated to UV unwrapping and editing and all that. It's up here in the top. There's a different tabs because Blender is like a Swiss Army knife of 3D. There's a lot of different options here. So we'll start with the UV editing, and I'll move this out for a second here. Okay. So the way Blender by default is handling this, because of the way it was modeled, is it's just sort of to select everything, by the way. It's just sort of trying its best to put this out on our 2D image that we see here, okay? So if we were to import a picture of our dog here, and the nose of the dog was right here on the image, well then we would have the nose of a dog right here on a 3D model. Because you can sort of see this is the square that's selected, okay? So we want to get it as accurate as we can, or so we want to get a good representation of this over here, so it becomes nice to paint on. So what we can do is we can select the whole thing, and for this stream we will just be using the what's it called? Oops. Smart UV project, okay? So click U after you select everything, and then click Smart UV Project. And then Blender sort of figures out everything for you, okay? So now you can see that we do actually have a fish out here on the right side. And so if we select one end of it, it's kind of out here, and you can sort of select all the faces here. And this is a lot easier if you did the modeling kind of thing. So quick heads up, you have different modes inside Blender. So if you select the object mode, that's what we've been working on so far. You can select all the different objects in our scene, and then if you want to edit one of those objects, you gotta go to the edit mode in this little drop down here. And then you can edit stuff like the UVs or the mesh or anything that you wish to. Okay, that's a mega crash course in modeling and editing. Okay. So now that we've done this, it's important that we start with material, okay? So we gotta add a material to it. It doesn't matter what the color is because we'll be painting it, but it's just important that we do have a material on it. And now after we've added this material and we've unwrapped it, we can go to the texture paint tab. Okay. So in the texture paint tab, this is where we have our brush and everything. And now we gotta create that image that we're actually gonna paint on, because you can see out here on the left, it's totally blank. So we go to texture slots and we paint. Where's the unwrap? You found it? Great. Okay. So you go to the texture slots and we gotta click add a base color image, basically. Okay. So we click it and we can select the resolution of it. So you might have seen this from like a painting software or something like that. and we can select the color of it. So we just start with this kind of white to begin with. We click OK. And now we've actually created an image that we can save on our computer that is equivalent. So if we start painting here, you can actually see. So I just, oh, this is hidden by my camera. So you can see here we have the color palette, and we can switch around the colors here. So if we start painting with a blue here, you can see it's actually figuring out, okay, where am I storing this paint on our image? And we can both paint on the image and we can paint in the 3D space, okay? And then once we're done with the painting, we're gonna save this image, and it's actually a file that you can save on your PC, okay? So you always have this paint, it doesn't get lost. Alright. So how are people doing on that? Did that make somewhat sense to y'all? And you can also paint. This is how I usually like to do it. You can actually go to the viewport shaded mode here with the lights and everything, and the texture paint tab. And now you can see it with the lights and everything, which is super nice. Okay. And you can sort of see how it's putting that out there. How are people doing? Did that make sense, y'all? My flag is hot pink after going to the texture paint tab. Don't know how that happened. Alright, so it could be that you still need to go here to the texture slot thing and click plus, and then add a base color. Right side flag is completely pink. Alright, let's try on this one. So we go into the UV editing tab, click AU Smart UV Project. Boop, we get this. Unwrap, and then we go to the texture paint tab, and then we add a texture slot for the base color, because that's what we want to paint. We want to paint the base color. You can paint a bunch of other things, like you can paint in black and white where the object is more rough than matte, for example. So on this pen, you would paint like, oh, this grip is more matte, and then it becomes more shiny down here, stuff like that. So we can paint a, let's say, a green one here, click OK. So let me know if the pink issue has gone away. It could also be, let me see, I'm trying to figure out what the pink issue could be. Try to do this thing on the other flags and see if the pink issue persists. So did this work for people? So hand up in the chat if this actually worked and you kind of got some paint on something. You know, obviously it doesn't have to be beautiful paint, just like... Did you actually get anything on there? Hand up in the chat. Yes, 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 okay. Yes, the pink disappears when adding the base color, great. How do you change the flag? So do you mean in terms of the shape or in terms of the color? So if you go to the edit mode, you can select corners, edges, and faces. And you can move those around if you want to change the shape. I can only paint on the top flag. Yes, and that's because that's the one that we selected and unwrapped, right? So if you want to paint on all of them at the same time, you can combine them If not, we can unwrap the other one later. So go back to layout, select it, go into texture paint, and now we're painting on this one. So I can't paint on the other one. Maybe if we want to go back here, I can now paint on this. I just go out to layout and then back into texture paint. Yeah, so you go to layout, you UV unwrap this one. So make sure it's also UV unwrapped. Then you go through the same process, you add a base color and go to texture paint. So you just go back to layout and then select another thing. So I can paint fine, but can you explain again the UV editing and how you mirrored the selected objects on the UV? What's the hotkey for panning? So for panning it is shift middle mouse. Shift middle mouse. Okay, so for the UV thing again. Actually, maybe we should select a different kind of object for the UV thing. Maybe an object that's a little bit more complex. Okay, let's take this piece of meat. It's supposed to be a piece of meat here. I think maybe these in the back or tuna, I'm not sure. But let's just say this is a piece of red meat here. So right now, if we go to the UV editing tab, so what we see if we select the face is, so it's already done an attempt at taking this model and putting it into a 2D sort of representation, so we can paint on it. So it's kind of, oops. So you can imagine it's the equivalent of this. So it says, okay, put the face of the Santa Claus in the middle of your image file. But here what it does instead is it says, take the top of your piece of meat and put it here. Take this face right here, put it there, and so on and so forth. And if we want to get a better representation, what we can do is just click U and then Smart UV Project. And you can kind of see the shapes that they fit a little bit better now. And then now once we have this, and it's not always that the models will have one that fits at all by default. We're kind of getting lucky here. So you should always do this. You can go into the texture paint tab. And now you can actually paint on it after you actually create an image file. So boop. So now we've created this image file that we can actually store on our PC. And we can start painting on it. So you can see if we paint an S here, or if we write our name, it will actually make sure that this part of the image goes here in our 3D model. I hope that's all making sense. Okay, how do I ungroup the group? So let's say these chopsticks here, we group them and we kind of want to ungroup them. So what we need to do is we need to go into edit mode now. Okay, and we can select a corner or our face from something. So let's say we want to ungroup these two chopsticks from those two. We select one corner here, one point or whatever, shift select on the other, and then we can click Control L to select all the linked. And you can also search for stuff. If you click F3, you can search for select linked. It's just gonna select everything that's connected to whatever you have selected. It's whatever. And you can click separate. Separate. And search for separate by selection. So P, separate by selection. And now you have two different chopsticks again. You can move them back. Hope that's all making sense to people. Is everybody on board? Am I missing anything, or is it going fine? Okay, so let's try to actually paint something that looks like what we have on the image. So we look at the reference, All right, I'm glad that the hand up in the chat is catching on. So hand up in the chat. Glad. So let's just go ahead and paint like a little bit of white here. I'm slowly losing my voice, which I'm a little bit surprised about. So if you ever end up and you lose your paintbrush, it is up here in the top, called the tool, and is also accessible up here. You can change stuff like the strength and the color and all that. So let's select this kind of blue that has a little bit of red in it. It's a very saturated color, maybe a little bit darker. You can click X to switch between the two colors you have on your little palette. How do I select my whole meat in the UV editing tab? It only wants to mark what I can see. So if you go here, let's say we go into the UV editing tab, you can click A to select everything and Alt A to unselect everything. So A, and then click U, Smart UV Project. If you don't like the shortcuts, you can also click this stuff out here. So A, UV, Smart UV Project. There's menus for all these things up here in the top as well. Okay. So texture paint. And here's nice if you do have a tablet, it kind of makes it a little bit more comfortable. Okay. You can use the button on your pen instead of the middle mouse, and then all the movement hotkeys are more or less the same. They are the same. You just switch out the pen button with the middle mouse. So click F to make your brush bigger or smaller. And you know, don't worry about stuff being perfect. Today is just about getting into it and kind of having fun. Okay, so control and then click on this thing to zoom out. Your pen button. Okay. Let's try to give like some kind of indication of scales. And this is where you can go as detailed as you want. So I'm just gonna simplify a lot of this because you know, we're doing it live and on stream and all that, but you can always go back later and you know, improve on it. So I'll go in with a white brush here and just kind of try to carve out the scales that I see. Something like this. Okay, it's not gonna be the prettiest thing, but from a distance it kind of works, you know. I'm rushing it a little bit just for the sake of getting on with it on the stream, but you feel free to not rush it. Feel free to spend as long as you want on this. Keep it simple like this, and then maybe add a couple of accents. Okay, so there we have a little fish flag. Is there a way to make a brush less jittery? My hands are a bit jittery, like in Procreate, some kind of smoothing and all that. Yes. How can I change the opacity? All right, let's go over some of the brush settings. Okay, so at the top here, for the opacity, there is the strength. Here you can lower that. You can see it kind of changes the opacity. Okay. So that's simple, it's right here. So for the smoothness, there is the stroke, and then there is stabilized stroke. So up in this, there's stabilized stroke. The larger your radius, the more stabilized it'll be. And we'll probably get to using all these features as we start painting, but then you can get this kind of very stable. It is X. So X to switch in between the colors. And it's very useful because you can go in and you can paint with a large brush, and then you can sort of carve away afterwards, right? So you can go in and paint something out, and then you can carve the other way. Okay, let's try to do the other fish. And you could also, let's say this one is called fish 1, you could go ahead and add this one here, and then add it here as well if you're lazy. Whoops. Just gotta make sure to UV unwrap. Do you mind quickly explaining the movement when using the pen again? Where do I change the middle mouse button? Alright, thanks. Okay, so middle mouse is just to rotate, shift middle mouse is to pan, right? And then you can scroll, and you can zoom in and out and control middle mouse. Okay, we know that so far. So how does that work with a pen? So on the pen, there's this button, the bottom button on the pen. You click that instead of middle mouse. So it's all the same, but you see right now I'm clicking my pen button, and it's just using middle mouse. Okay, so I'm just clicking shift and then middle mouse to pan, control middle mouse to zoom in and out, and then just middle mouse to rotate around. Alright. That right clicks for you. So alright, so you might have to go into your tablet settings real quick and change it to middle mouse. I'm surprised it does that. Thanks. Alright, no worries. Okay. So let's change this material to a new one. So we delete it and call this one Fish 2. Okay, we can go into texture paint. And now we can paint a red version. So what kind of red are we seeing? Oh, better for warm tone maybe. So okay, so right now I cannot paint. And why is that? Because I added a new material, but I didn't yet add a new image file. So I gotta go in and add the image file here. So we can just add a white, and now we can paint. Can we paint all three fish the same way in one color and then go and change the color separately for all three? Yes, you can do that, but it's a little bit more advanced than what I want to get into on this stream, but essentially you can. So let's say this one was fish number 3 and we want it to be green or something like that. So I'll delete this and call this one fish number 3. Okay. So I'll go to the first fish, click this little drop down, and I'll just show this for people, but you don't have to follow what I'm doing. This is just to illustrate or to answer the question. You can copy this material. You can add it to fish 3. So these are now two different materials. You see one is called 3, the one is called 1. But they have the same properties. And now if you go into the shading tab, you get a node graph, and this, guys, don't worry, you can do a lot without getting into this at all, but this is just if you want to get into the more advanced stuff. And here you can add whatever it is that you want to mess with this image file. So this is our image file, and then this is the name of it. And on this line here, before it goes into the base color of our material, we can add whatever we want. So we can add a brightness contrast, for example, here, and then we can increase the brightness or we can increase the contrast, okay? And then we can also add a hue, saturation value, and then we can change the hue to any color. Okay, and then you can add whatever nodes to make that more or less complex. I hope that answers your question. I accidentally removed everything and I can only see wireframes. I finger pressed. I found on Z and solid. Okay. Shift Z. Alright, so let's just paint this one manually. So this is cool and all, but let's just get some more painting under our belt instead of messing with all the complex stuff right now. Let's just go ahead and look at our reference and try to make something. Maybe we can make it a little bit different. That would also be cute. Good to know photo editing. Yeah, super useful. You know, Blender is one of those tools that it will really help if you have knowledge anywhere else, because it's so versatile, right? There's so many things you can do in it. Like, there's pretty much a way to apply whatever knowledge that you have from anywhere, pretty much, right? Like, even if you've done engineering, you can apply that knowledge. Coding, you can apply that knowledge. Painting, art, you can apply that knowledge, right? It's just sort of whatever it is that you want to do with the software. Photo editing is obviously a big one too. So this is the thing. So a case like this is very useful to be able to use X real quick, because you can go back in and you can just remove here and sharpen that up if you need to. I guess I'd much rather make a texture in Photoshop than paint on the models directly, to be honest. So people do both things. There are advantages to painting in 3D and there are advantages to painting in Photoshop. So obviously in Photoshop you get all the brushes that we all love and are used to, whatever is your personal favorites, right? And that works fine if you know where everything is supposed to go. But once we get into more complex objects, like this crate, you know, it has a lot of different surfaces, and it might not always be obvious how that's going to unfold on a 2D image. And so in case like that, it might be a lot easier to paint in the 3D space. Okay. If you're painting something that's very graphic like this, it might make a lot of sense to paint it in your 2D software. And the reason why I start with something flat and graphic like this is because it's sort of easy to understand, because it's very similar to something like painting in Photoshop on the 2D aspect of it. But I'll show you some stuff where it might be very useful to paint in 3D in a moment. Okay, good enough. Could export the UV map and add it as a layer in Photoshop. Yes, you can definitely do that. In fact, there is an option to do that. Yeah, that's a quick Google. I can't exactly remember, but there's definitely an option somewhere here where you just export the UV. So you export these lines with a transparent layer behind it, right? Or on a transparent layer. And you can just overlay that. And that's a very common thing to do as well. Especially once you get into like very stylized and very painterly 3D models, it can be very nice to use those brushes and size up Photoshop or Clip Studio, whatever. Okay. Whoops. So I did a big oopsie here and I deleted my image. or my material. So if you ever end up doing that, we can go here and we can add an image texture, and we should be able to select. So what I did there is I selected the little circle on the base color, this one, and then you can select image texture, and then from the drop down you can find your fish too. Okay. So fish free, we'll make a new one. So we'll find something similar to this screen here. You can freestyle, you don't have to stick with the reference that specific. It's just whatever it is that you feel like. We're just here to kind of have fun today and introduce everybody. Maybe this one's a little bit colder. Okay, so something like that. So again, I need to add the image texture. Boop. Just add a white for the base color that we can paint. Okay, too dark. Alright. Fish number 3. And you know, if you get the basics, you don't have to stick to the fishes. If you want to move on, go ahead. I completely missed that they actually kind of have like a little tail graphic on the end. I should do that too on this one. Okay, so you can kind of see, you can just do whatever it is that you feel like here. So let's try to do that tail graphic sort of on this one. So something like this. Just doing like a very quick version. If you ever make mistakes, just blame it on the style. It's my style. Okay. Is there a way to make a straight line? Yes, I think I get asked this like every stream I do. And I never use straight lines, but there is a way to do it. I just kind of forget it every time, right? So yeah, someone might know in the chat, but it should also be like a quick Google, because there's definitely a way to do that. Yeah, so here, so if you go to the stroke, there's different options. So default is space, and then you can go to line, and then you can make a line here. So stroke, and then line, and I guess there's curve. Let's try that one. Okay, I don't know how that one works. Okay, hope that makes sense. I ended up not using a straight line as well. Looks more artistic. Yeah, exactly, that's the style. You make an unstraight line, just blame it on the style. Yeah, it would be cute to get this whole thing a little bit hand painted looking. What is next, people? What are we painting next? How about we paint some meat, huh? What do we say? Okay, so I see all of these pieces of meat are the same, which is fine, but then this one is a bit different. Yeah, I don't want to deal with that right now because, you know, time limits and all that, but you can paint this one separately. I'm just gonna click delete. Whoops. Click delete to delete it, and then Shift D to duplicate this and just like move it over. Okay, just so I know I'll get consistent results. And now I'm just gonna paint all these pieces of meat at the same time. So same thing, I already did it, but you can go texture paint, UV editing first, unwrap it, and then go to texture paint. Okay, so I'll go ahead and color pick. Okay, you want to make sure to color pick from the left side so you don't color pick a color that has light applied to it and everything. So we're gonna try to get a meaty look. I'll maybe do like a little fat cap here. Then we'll start doing some veins that run down. Maybe the fat cap is a little bit like that. It starts running down. Okay, and then we just try to do some veins of like marbling, right? So it would be good to look up some reference on what marbling looks like. I'm just gonna try to make it work at a distance. This is BF, is that A5 Wagyu right here. This is marbled. So from a distance, that could kind of pass as meat, could it not? That looks like very good meat, to be honest. I accidentally made more texture images for a single fish. How can I delete one? Alright, so let's say we go back to the fish texture paint mode and we made more images. So say I made one more base color. Oh, okay. So interestingly enough, I actually did not end up in this situation before. So what I would recommend, okay, let's not worry about deleting it for now. You can go to the material tab here. Well, so whatever it is that you want on your fish, you can go to the material tab here and just select that thing, right? So you should have all your images here. So you can select the fish base color 1, 2, 3. And so whatever it is that you want on your model, you can go to the material tab and then just select it here under base color. That should work. Is there a limitation to how close I can zoom in an object in UV editing? I cannot zoom as close as I want, so yes. Let's say I want to zoom in real close to this thing. I mean, you can get very close without any issues. But at some point you'll get this issue with the camera. And you go to view here, and then you can reduce the clipping distance. But maybe you're asking about something different, because you can actually zoom in really far already. But if you want to, like, I don't know, add a single piece of dust, you can zoom in closer. How did you move the chopsticks before? You can the layout mode. You can select anything, and then you can use the move tool out here on the left side, or click G, and then you can just move them using the arrows. Okay, let's work on this egg. So let's add something called the egg white. And now we see that we would like to have two different materials. We could obviously go in and paint this egg to have a yellow part in the middle, but I'll do something else to illustrate something that we will need. So we have the yolk and we have the egg white. Okay, so we have two different materials on the same object. Wow, what are we gonna do? So we can change this to yellow, but obviously nothing happens because it doesn't know that we want this middle part to actually have the yolk material. And this is definitely a part where joining the modeling stream would help a lot, but I'll take you all through it. So you go into the edit mode, and then you can select, should change it to the face select mode. Let me get this out of the way so you can see my clicks. So face select mode, and then you can select all the faces that you want. So if we select the middle here, we can go to the yolk and click assign. And now that face will have the yolk material. If you click C, you get this kind of multiple select cursor. Click C, or escape to get it away again. You can scroll on your scroll wheel to make it bigger or smaller, and you can just sort of select all the faces in the middle, click escape to get it away, and then click assign. So gotta assign the egg yolk. Boop. And now the middle has the egg yolk. So we gotta make this a little bit colder, I think. Yeah. Okay, you can do that again. So go to edit mode, C, select all of it. Then first of all, well, we need to make an egg white material. So we add a material, then we can search for egg white, click the plus to add a new material, and then we can search for yolk. We can add that. Now we can add the yolk material to the inside, and there we go. When I try to move them, they just deselect. That is very strange. They shouldn't do that. Can you move other things in your scene? So I'll just delete this piece of meat, honestly, and just duplicate one here, because I want to get as much done as I can on today's stream. So these green onions, we can add a green onion material to them. And these, I think they're tofu or something, maybe. I don't really know what they are, but we'll just call them tofu for now. And then the bottom, these can be noodle. So something like that. Maybe I'll just add the noodle material here for just some consistency. Blender crashed trying to make eggs. I'll check after. Oh, that sucks. So good reminder for everybody. Let's all save. Okay. So save as noodle shop, and then I'll do textured. Save as. And if you go to the texture paint section, hold on. So if you go to somewhere and you're painting, there's also image, and you can click save all images. Okay, and that's important to do. So okay. Nice. All right. So how are people doing? Are you good or are you lost? Let me get a hand in the chat if you're okay and you're alive and you're sort of following along so far. How's it going in the chat? Okay, that's good. Are you all happy with getting into it and learning a little bit? I hope you all can sort of see things are starting to look a little bit nice. Okay, it always starts to look nice with the colors. I am lost, but it's also my first time in Blender. That is okay. I mean, if there's anything I can help with, if you have questions, just ask them in the chat. It's completely fine. And the live stream will also be on the YouTube channel after to watch, and I will also be on the Discord in between. All right, that's fine. That's always how it is a little bit in the beginning, right? So okay, so for this lantern here, I'm gonna select all of it, and I'm gonna assign gold rim to all of it. So I'm gonna make the gold rim metallic. And this is a case where it's actually a very good idea to have multiple different materials, because it's a little bit more difficult to paint a metallic thing and then a non-matte paper or something like that. So we just add two different materials, so we can call this one red paper. Okay, so we want to use the same trick, so you can just click C to get this cursor up and select everything that you want to be paper, or you can select a face and then control click somewhere else, and it will sort of select everything in between. Okay, so many ways of doing that. So just go into edit mode, C, select. Okay, escape to go out of it, or just shift select and then control click somewhere, and we'll just pick everything in between. And add the red paper. Now we have a gold rim and a red paper. Can I add a reference picture into the scene and pick a color from a reference image? Yes, you can do that. So the way to do that is click add, and then there's image here. So I think in the newest version of Blender, which you should be using probably, there's one called add image as plane, and then you can select the image you want to add and it will come in as a little square plane in your scene. If you want a color pick from it, you should be able to find it in this drop down menu, and then you can pick an accurate color from that. Okay, let's go into the UV editing and let's UV unwrap. So since we only want to paint on the paper, we can actually just click the paper here. So if you click select, it will only select whatever is this material. And then click U, Smart UV project, then it'll unwrap it for us. Okay, you can also click A to select the whole thing, and Smart UV project if you want to paint on the metal too, but we don't really need that. So I'm just going to do the paper. Texture paint mode, we sort of know the drill at this point. Go to the red paper here, it's important because now you have two materials. Then add a base color to the red paper. Okay, and let's pick a nice color. So this one is sort of a warm red here. Okay. Right. Then we can start painting. Color pick here, and I think I might have picked something that's a little bit too warm. So I'll go here. Oop. It's fun, it helped a lot. I'm happy to hear that. Yes, and of course you can rewatch on the YouTube channel. I got a little bit lost, but I'm still learning a lot about texture painting. That's great. That's all we're here for, you know, just a little. I can move things now, but I have to go back and rewatch. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's also a possibility. And you know, we have people that do come to these streams multiple times, right? To keep honing their skills and all that. Okay, so let's try to paint a pattern that's similar to what we see. So we pick a bit of a cold yellow to begin with. Maybe a little bit desaturated. Okay. Okay. So if you want to paint like a very hard graphic without that soft edge, you can go to the fall off. And you can set different fall offs. So you can, if you have a constant fall off, that means that it will basically not have one. You just get that hard edge. Okay, so let's paint like a rainbow thing. Okay, you can pick a bit more of a warm yellow. And then we can pick a little bit of a cold blue, desaturate it. It's kind of a baby blue or something like that, and then we get this pattern. It's desaturated. Okay. Then we can go in with a white and make some stripes. This would have been easier if we did it in the beginning. This is a point where stabilization might be nice on my stroke. Alright, we got something like that, kind of cute. And now we need the sakura flowers on there. Something like this. We can add another one here. Okay, and then we can add some star things. And color pick the background so we can actually like carve out instead. Alright, very nice. yellow here for the center of these flowers. Boop, boop. Then we have a very nice looking lantern. Okay. So I'm gonna do a trick with these here. You know, I'm not gonna unwrap these because they're fine, they're just squares and it will make things easier for us. So if we go ahead here and we add a, what should we call it? I don't know, sunblocker? No, it's not a sunblocker. Overhang, material to it, whatever. We go to texture paint and we add a new material. Base color, it kind of has this very warm navy blue, almost violet, but very dark. Very dark, a bit less saturated. So I'm just looking at the reference on my second screen. Oops, sorry, I should have had that. Okay, and now we're just gonna add this material to all of these little guys here, so whenever we paint on one, all the others will get it too. So we go ahead and we search for, what did I call it, the overhang? Yips. Okay, so we can just like paint on this guy here. The way we can do it is we can, you know, with the fall off set to constant, we can just make. So if we look at the reference here, we can start with so we want like a sphere, let's say about here, about here. A bit bigger. So here, let's say here. Then one coming in there. Okay. Now it's important we select the background on the other color, and then with X we can just, and F to increase and decrease our brush size. We can do this pattern in a very quick way. So I'm just decreasing my brush size a little bit, switching to the background color, clicking once, decreasing brush size, and it will not be super accurate, but it'll be good enough for what we're trying to do here. Okay, and we get that. We'll do it on this one too. Boop. Okay, there we go. We just keep going here. I think the last one. We can sort of try to loosely match what we have. Alright, boop. We get that, and now we can make the layer that is on top. So I think it looks like this. kind of get this pattern. Looks very nice. You get that. And then you sort of have it. I think I need to maybe just remove this one. Balance. And you get that pattern on the top. It's very nice. Very quick way to add a lot of detail. How do you use undo while painting? I use Ctrl Z on the keyboard. I don't use the pen for that. I just click Ctrl Z and it does it. Alright. I actually did not see the time. We're a little bit over time. So now is the part of the stream where I love to go look at what everybody has done. So if you want to, you should prepare your model for a little screenshot and then I'll go look at it in the Discord. One thing you can do that looks very nice with these sakura leaves is you can add a little bit of subsurface scattering to them. And that's kind of what makes the light penetrate through them so they don't feel like a hard block of plastic. But they kind of feel like there's actually light going through them and it kind of brightens them up a little bit too. So I'll go ahead and I'll take a screenshot of my little booth here. How did you do the thing for selecting the lamp and the egg yolk? Alright, I'll show you. No problemo. So let's say we want to select this egg yolk here. We go to the materials tab here. Just make sure that you have the yolk selected. You can go into edit mode here. If you click C, you'll get this multi-select kind of tool out. And before you do that, go into the face select mode. So make sure you're selecting faces and not corners or points or edges or something like that. Click C, you get this tool. You can scroll to make it bigger or smaller. You can just hold down left mouse button. You can select whatever you need and then click escape to get out of the tool and then assign whatever. So you can assign the yolk to that. Got to go, but thanks for this easeful. Sorry, I watched a few on YouTube, but none of them were as easy going. I'll be back for sure. That is nice. I'm happy you did enjoy that. That's kind of what I'm trying to do, you know. It's like, it's 10 times more valuable for someone to actually get into it and just take it a little bit slower, but actually let people get into it than just rush into it, you know. Missed the edit mode, thank you. Yeah, no worries, you got that. That's kind of stuff that we would have usually gone over on the first modeling stream. Okay, so out here, I'll change it back to cycles in the render settings. Up here in the top right, there's the show overlays button. You can disable that. Then you can see it without the overlays being annoying. You can just wait a little bit, let it render out, and then take a screenshot. Someone asked if it is possible to add an image and use it to get the colors from there. Yes, it's possible. So I think I answered it too, but I will answer it again. No worries. So you click Shift A and you add an image in the reference or background. But in the newer version, there's also one called Images as Planes. If you're on a little bit older version like mine, you can add that as an add-on. You go here, you search image as plane. It's a very common add-on. So now, and you should all have it by default, images as planes. And you can import. And here you have like a reference image. So, okay, you can get it in here. So sadly, this time is running out a little bit, so I do have to rush because I do want to look at what everybody has been doing. But then if you go into texture paint, you can actually see the texture out here and you can color pick from it if you need to. Now I picked the one that's in grayscale. That's maybe a bad example, but you can just go ahead and color pick right here. Okay. It's like the painted texture has been squished / rotated. Alright, so it might be that you have UV unwrapped one of the beefs, but you haven't UV unwrapped the other beefs. Because then the UV unwrapping has to be the same, or one beef will think that the image is supposed to be read in this way, and then the other beef will think it's supposed to be read in a different way. Try to play with that? Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'm gonna look on the Discord now and see what people have been doing. So if you haven't already, this is the Discord and we post stuff on here for people to see. So people are posting right now, and I'll link to it as well. Hold up, so invite people, copy. And you'll get this and just take a screenshot of whatever it is that you have. It does not have to be finished, it does not have to be super nice. I just like to see what people have been up to. So I'll go ahead and I'll just take a screenshot of what I have. Copy. Here is what we did on today's bootcamp. Hope you all enjoyed and learned something. Alright, great. I'll hit it with a little monkey dance. Stuff is looking nice today, I'm happy to see it. Okay, I'll go from the beginning. David Maris, what up? Very cute. You kind of went freestyle with the things on top, but it's actually kind of cute. It almost looks a little bit like a winter scene with the color scheme and the light on there. Nice, happy you followed along. You even got some stuff on the crate too. I do see that. Very good job. Pat yourself on the back. Happy to see it. Happy to see people following along. Liruta. Alright. Looks nice. It's very similar to mine actually. Kind of stuck on the ref. That is very nice. Good job on that one. I hope you did enjoy and I hope you learned something. And I'll give them both a heart because you all deserve it. I'm happy you followed along. Mr. T, nice. That's a little bit of a funny smiley down there. I like it. A little bit of freestyle, a little bit of fun. We need space for it. So good job on that. I see you painted the meat and everything. You got the yolks in there. Pat yourself on the back. I hope you got something out of it. You got a tail on both your fish. Only one of mine has one. Box head. That is very beautiful. Stuck to the ref as well. I like that. I like the top too here. Very good job. Pat yourself on the back. Beautiful. Beautiful. Happy to see it, people. Let's keep going. Lost my very nice fish texture, but learned new tool, which is assign texture on egg yolk, and it seems useful. That is nice. So I'm happy you followed along. I'm sad that you lost your texture because I would have loved to see it, but you also get a heart. So hope you got something out of it. So, Richie, I see your texturing. Nice. If you want to get that real crispy render, try to go to the viewport shading out here on the right, and then go to render and change it to cycles. You might get some real nice crispy rendering. But good job. I see you got the pattern top, the fish and everything. So pat yourself on the back. Happy that you followed along. Now Katrin did the texturing on this one last time too, so he kind of upgraded it today and looks cool. So good job on that. And I know Katrin has been wanting me to go hard on him with the feedback and everything, because he does enjoy it. So let's see if we can actually critique it a little bit. But Katrin, if you want more feedback, just come talk to me tomorrow. So main thing I would say is that there's a lot of clashing colors. So whatever you're trying to do, sort of if you're trying to create a focal point, there's very high contrast everywhere here, and the focal point kind of gets lost a little bit. Like my eyes are drawn out here very much because these are so saturated, right? And you can have saturated colors, like I have very saturated colors, but at the same time, because of the lighting I've chosen to have, those colors kind of get put into the back a little bit. Okay, so they kind of go in the back burner, and you're still like sure that this is kind of the main focus. But very good job on all the texturing and all that. And obviously I don't know how serious you're taking on, you're probably just chilling like all of us and all that, right? But if you do want some feedback, that's the main thing I'd say. Okay, there's some more submissions. I spent too much time on the fishes while trying out new painting program. Oh, the fishes, they do look nice though. I can see the time spent on those fishes, and I do applaud it. Beautiful fishes. Good job, Fjord. Very nice job. I like it. Happy you followed along. Happy you learned something. I don't know how to position camera for rendering. Well, it's good enough because we can see that you also followed along. You got the fish in there, and you got a little pink shed. Okay. Going off track, we'd like to see it. So good job on that. Happy you followed along. I hope you learned something. I'm really losing my voice here, people. I'm sorry. And you also got that red and blue scheme going with the top thing. It's nice. I do like the lights on this one. It looks very cozy. Happy you followed along as well. Okay, and you all get a heart because you all deserve it. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for the feedback. I will improve the textures. You're more than welcome, Katrin. Okay. And you can even see it if you look from this distance, right? Like these are. I hope you all enjoyed. And before you all leave, if you did actually enjoy it, I would just tell you all, remember there is a like button, and it helps tell the adults above me that you guys actually do enjoy the streams and that I should keep doing them. So if you did enjoy it, don't forget to click that button, because you know, it helps me convince people that I should keep doing these streams, right? And that's gonna be it for me for today. Yeah, hearts out to all of you. It was great to get some tutorials done, but I feel like there was more room to play. Nice format for this, yeah, definitely. And you can keep working on all of these projects after the stream and keep updating on the Discord, because I do check the Discord and I love to see the updates when people do make them. So next time will be level design in Unreal Engine, and I hope and expect to see you all there, because that's gonna be a cool one. Kim Patrick, I'm actually doing some work with some students from CADA with Brainbar Studio, so it's nice to see what you guys are doing. Well, I am actually a student at CADA doing some work with Brainbar Studio myself. My name is Onwa, so it might be me per chance, but I'm not sure. There might be multiple people. I'm working on a astronaut-based project out at Brainbar. 2 loonies on the moon or something like that. Or 2 loonies in space. Something similar to that. Alright, people. So I hope you all enjoyed. It was fun for me. I will see you all next time, and have a good rest of your evening or morning or midday, wherever you are in the world. Bye bye. Flying off the astronauts, yeah, I'm working on that one. Maybe I'm actually coming on Monday with Clarissa, and we might meet each other then. Alright, so bye bye people. Have a nice evening.